you said empathy. That's
Uh-huh.
one thing that is missing within the church. The church has a lot of sympathy, but very little empathy.
I actually have been doing some research. The original social work was the church, right? It was the place that you went when you
The
needed
backbone of the
the
black community
community.
was the church. A lot of people is more afraid of man and what man might think versus God. They're very reluctant to go into the hedges and highways because I seen so and so.
We're not failures because of our past. Matter of fact, we're overcomers,
That
right?
my past made me who I am today.
My past, yes, made me stronger.
Yes, comfortability breeds complacency.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to be uncomfortable because uncomfortability brings about change and also it brings about growth. You know what made us great as a people back in the day?
What made us great?
Community.
Hey everyone, welcome to Conversations with New Beginnings. My name is Teray, and I'm so glad that you're here. This podcast is about meaningful conversations that uplift, empower, and inspire transformation. Before we begin, please help us by taking a quick pre-survey. Your perspective helps us shape conversations that truly uplift, empower, and inspire transformation. Also, wait till the end for another quick message from me. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey y'all, thank you for joining Conversations with New Beginnings. Today we are joined by Pastor Steve Houston of Soul Saving Family Restoration Center in Seaford, Delaware. He'll be sharing his lived experience with substance, incarceration, navigating the justice system, and his journey to pastoring. He'll also end with his charge to the church of what we can do. How can we destigmatize and how can we humanize those with lived experience? Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.
All right. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for this opportunity. Like I said earlier, I think what I wanted this to be about something that we, just a conversation that we can have, especially with the faith-based community. I think it's important that, we touch on the spirituality of healing, right? And just of, substance use. I mean, it just affects so many people,
It
right?
does.
In the faith community, you have so many people from so many different walks of life, and they come in with their baggage, right? And it's important for us to be able to communicate
To
and
communicate
connect.
with them and find out what can bring about a positive healing. But first, you have to be transparent.
Oh yes, yes,
I found that within the black church, there's not only a stigma with ex addicts,
yeah,
but we're not embracing. I think sometimes we take the scripture out of context, forgetting those things which are behind. And I think the church would have a lot more empathy and much more inclusive and welcoming if they remember that they also have a past.
yes, yes,
And quiet as is kept within the church community, black church, there's a lot of members who are suffering, well, struggling with addiction, but keeping it under wraps.
yeah, yeah.
So I think for it to become a lot more inclusive and welcoming is if we as a people remember where we came from.
But what's interesting to me is that aren't we overcomers by our
We're
testimony?
overcome by our testimony.
Then why can't we recognize that testimony has power, that we can be able to speak and help others, right? If I'm willing to, like you said, be transparent and expose the truth.
See, but the problem with that is if I tell you what I really went through, you're gonna look at me different. If I tell you I was a thief, when you come in the service, I'm gonna pull my pocketbook a little closer. If I told you I was a whoremonger, you understand what I'm saying? So we
I
don't want
do,
to
I do.
lose the image that we build up in our mind of ourselves. But we're supposed to be helpers one to another. And a lot of times, if you share your unadulterated testimony, I've been there.
Yeah.
See, the only thing people can see about me is what they see today.
Right.
They don't remember or even have an idea of 30 years ago what and who I was. And I noticed one of the questions that you had on there was, what can the church do to be be a lot more inclusive to people who are coming out of incarceration or even dealing with a substance abuse is
Yes.
one of the things that they've done is that they've kind of closed the correctional system to the faith-based community.
Really?
When I was incarcerated, we had Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then you had chapel on Sunday. Now they only have chapel on Sunday. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there were Bible studies, and various ministries in churches within the community could come in and disciple and mentor. And when a person got released, they're not as reluctant to go to the church because they feel like they have somebody there that they know.
Yes.
And well, a lot of times when people who go to church for the first time, they're already struggling to come in.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? The devil's fighting them all the way. And then when they get in the door to get a look at like, your kind's not accepted here. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
once I leave here, I ain't coming back. You know what I mean? So it, I really believe that if they opened it up and we could fellowship with incarcerated individuals or even have some type of outreach ministry within the prison system, that way they will form a connection and a bond so the person that comes in ain't like I'm going in with a bunch of strangers. I do know somebody.
Exactly. And I think that's twofold because also the members that are willing to go in, the ministers that are willing to go in, will be able to also have that connection with individuals with these lived experiences and understand, hopefully empathy and will develop to
Uh,
where go ahead.
you said empathy.
Uh-huh.
That's one thing that is missing within the church. The church has a lot of sympathy, but very little empathy.
Yeah.
I'm just being transparent.
No,
I
go
mean,
ahead. I
we're
appreciate
quick to
that.
look down on someone, but very reluctant to get down with them and help lift them
And
up.
bring them back up. Yes.
That
Yeah.
is what.
Why do you think that we are, we're talking about believers who are trying, to get to, to follow the word,
Hmm.
to honor God's word, to be able to have the love. What do you think is happening? Where do you see the disconnect? You talk about the incarceration and how we really need to get connected back to the
The
community.
community.
But what's happening with our believers? What do you think is happening? Do you think that why do you think we're shunning people that don't look like us? Because I've always been taught, be careful about who you entertain, right? Like we
Hmm.
just never know. Be careful how you manage people, how you handle people, because you never know if you're entertaining angels unaware, right?
Absolutely. What I have found is a lot of people is more afraid of man and what man might think versus God. They're very reluctant to go into the hedges and highways because I seen so and so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the scripture said, "Be separate, come from among them." Some people take that literally, but he also said that we're the light of the world, and if a candle is hid under a bushel,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I truly believe that within the church, we don't give much grace to those who aren't biologically related to us. And as I was alluding to a little bit earlier,
Yeah, you said
people
that.
within the church are struggling with their own type of addiction. And once people understand that an addiction is an addiction,
Yes.
whether it's
Yeah.
tobacco, sex, alcohol, drugs, whatever,
Gambling, lottery,
gambling, lottery,
eating,
eating.
right? We've
And
got
Christ is kept. We have a lot of membership in the Church of the Living God who's struggling with opioids, with
yes,
pills.
prescribed, and they're
With,
being
they're
prescribed
being
month after month.
month after month, but because they're doing pills and not out on the street, they kind of look down. See, but my thing, it's all the same.
Yeah.
There's no big and no little. So with that, I've been wrestling with how can we get out and make a connection to those that are the least.
Yes.
And a lot of it is if we come out of ourselves, remember from whence we came, we're a little bit more apt. Me, I don't have a problem talking with, it's ironic that I live where I live.
Tell me more.
All right, you might be a little young. Back in the day, 3rd North and Seaford.
Okay. I'm not that young, so
Okay.
I remember.
And that's where I ran amok and wreaked most of my havoc. And my father, my home was down the street on North and Wolford, 2 blocks
Okay.
away. It's ironic that the Lord would put me right back in the situation in the area where I did my most damage. I'll put it like that. And because of that, most folk know me and my background. They don't have a problem talking to me. They tell me all the time, "Oh, you ain't like so and so. You ain't like so and so." But once we realize all people who are struggling with addiction or substance abuse, all they need to be is seen.
Oh, say that again.
All
Say
they
that
need to
again.
be is seen
Yes.
like somebody cares. I mean, talk to like a person. I remember when I was in the throes of my addiction, and I have 2 brothers, 2 older brothers as pastors, and I guess they call themselves showing me tough love, but really it wasn't. When I got incarcerated, they didn't accept my calls. They wouldn't put no money on my books. The only time I saw them two is once every 2 months when they came to preach. Well, where's the love of God? And that in itself turns an individual
Right.
off. Oh, you love God and you love everybody, but here I am struggling. And when I was going through what I was going through, I wanted help. I needed help, but nobody came to me to ask me or even point me in a direction where I could get some help. They looked down on me, they turned their back and their nose up. All I found, all we have to do is show those that are out there is concern, care, and compassion. Look at them like they are a person.
Yeah. Yes. And I love because what I'm hearing is at that time, at your lowest point, you just needed to be seen.
To
You
be,
needed to be the little brother, right? You
yes,
just needed to be the son. You needed to be.
I just needed somebody to come and show me another way. Would tell me about another way.
Right. Do you think that sometimes people feel like, because we reach out, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't think any family can get out of this world not having someone in their family with this lived experience.
If you shake a tree, a nut's gonna fall out. So it's
Exactly,
good.
exactly. And I always reference my journey with even my brother, right?
Hmm.
Like having to, at one time cover up, some of the things so that protect him. So what I thought was protection,
Hmm.
right? So that mom and dad didn't know. And then when all of it was out there, I'm finding myself running out here on New Street and just trying to figure out where he's at to bring him back. And then it got to a point, where I felt I was tired, right? And I got tired.
You got tired, but you had put in the work.
I did. I did.
You can't be tired if you don't put in the work.
Yeah.
See, my problem more so is the insensitivity and the non-caring attitude of us believers.
Well, and let's be honest, a lot of times we believe that this substance use is a choice, right? And we know in certain ways we understand that we do choose, but the reality is that
Okay, Nancy Reagan.
but they do. People will stand back and look and say that this is a choice, and all you have to do is stop, right? And
I lived through the Nancy Reagan era. I
just say no.
just say no. I mean, when I was getting ready to be sentenced, they were talking about bringing the whipping post back into Georgetown, and the discrimination and the imbalance is hard is obvious. Today, it's a disease.
Back then, it
Back
was
then,
it was a battle of all you had to do
you
was
was to
say
say
no.
no.
But let's be honest about it. That was crack, right?
Yes,
And
that, that
who was normally doing crack?
I'm gonna tell you that recipe will get you 15 years. You know what recipe I'm talking about?
What the crack?
with the baking soda. That
Yes,
baking soda
yes,
and cocaine will give you 15 years, but our of
yes, yeah.
they'll have the same amount and more and get less time.
And it was and now it became the disease. I hear that. I hear it all the time. And now we
Now it's
have
a disease,
empathy.
and we have empathy. We got programs for this, programs for that. But during when our epidemic, all you got to do is say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand the double standard for the most part. I do, but at that time, I didn't really understand.
I was working at we did a inpatient residential treatment program for women and their children
Do tell.
in Ellendale. This was back in the early 2000s. And it was court ordered or volunteer. Unfortunately, I will tell you that a lot of times our black and brown community it was very few from our black and brown community that was coming. It was
See, it's funny
people.
you said that it's court ordered. See, because when I got arrested, I got 20 years and 6 months or successful completion of the KEY program.
Right,
And the KEY program was a therapeutic community
right.
within the penal system. I was one of the original 20.
Oh wow, okay.
Now I'm going back a little ways. And there it was more of a version therapy.
Yes.
When you displayed a negative behavior, you had to do a learning experience, i.e., wear a sign, write
That
a
was a
letter.
therapeutic
Yeah,
community.
absolutely.
Right,
And
yes.
it was very structured at 6 o'clock. No, at 5:30, we had to get up. By 6:15, we needed to be dressed and out the door, getting ready for breakfast. I agree to say chow, breakfast. And then we had seminars and training up until lunch. And when I graduated, I was the first one to graduate. They didn't have a follow up. They didn't have aftercare, and
Oh,
that is what's really missing.
yes.
Aftercare, what is necessary and needed. That once a person gets clean and make up their mind, they want to get their life together, is within the church. We need to assign the older seasoned member with them because I
Right.
remember when I got saved in jail on November the 18th, 1989, and I got released in 2000. Yeah, in 2000. And the ministry that I was led to, when a person got freshly converted,
Uh-huh.
they assigned somebody to mentor them,
Wow.
somebody to talk to. And a lot of time with addiction, all that person wants to do is be seen and heard and know that somebody cares about you.
Yes, yes. Do you think that thinking about, because by the time that I came, we had what we considered a modified therapeutic community because at that time it was deemed to be, it was on the cusp of whether it was too rough or,
It works.
too
It
in your
works.
face,
It,
right?
it, it works.
Yes, yes. And
Direct
I've heard,
confrontation. Because when
yes,
you come, a lot of people with addiction doesn't know, they don't really understand or know how to manage their feelings. So when those feelings come up, they reach for what's familiar and what's comfortable, so they don't have to deal with them. In that type of setting where it's confrontational, directed in your face, it teaches you how not only to manage and recognize, but how to control your feelings, how to
yes.
work through the anger, how to work through the disappointment, how to work
To be
through.
called on it. Yeah,
Yes,
you were called to the carpet,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Like
Oh, you
literally.
know about it.
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yes.
So, and I found that if we would be able to mentor, and when a person is going through, you can tell. Oh, you're not the same day. Are you okay? If we would just, are you okay? Something I can do
Yeah.
to help. You want to talk? You know what I mean? And a lot of times when people can talk and vent their frustrations or whatever's going on inside of them, a lot of times they work through their own dilemma.
Yeah. Yeah. But they just need that
They
space.
need the
And they
space.
need the space to be real, right?
Hmm.
Like they need the space to be able to say, I'm struggling today without being criticized or made to feel like God, you done walked away from
We walked
God.
away from God. Because truth be told, we all fall short.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
fall
That is
short.
so true.
And truth be told, nobody has a blanket to cover up everything. Cover the head up, the feet gonna stick out.
Yeah.
Cover the feet up. So everybody's working with something. So I think a lot of that is first acknowledging that these people need help.
Yeah.
They need help. And that, no, before you even acknowledge, you got to realize that they are a human being. They have feelings. They have
Yes.
hopes. They have dreams. They have aspirations. Yes, they may have made a wrong decision, but who hasn't made a decision that they wish they never made? Who went down a road that they wish they never traveled?
And that's been my thing. In this journey, is can we see the human? Can we see the humanity in others instead of focusing on what they have done? Can we see that human being? Can instead of calling them? And that was, and we'll get there, but it's these words that we've used, right? And I can't say I haven't used them, but these words don't bid anyone well by labeling individuals by what they do instead of recognizing that they're still human beings that need to be seen,
And if we could look
heard, and
past
valued.
if we look past the exterior, you can see the good in everybody if you
Yes.
look for it.
Yes. But how much of that do you think, are we asking for a lot when we're talking about individuals that are still trying to figure out their walk? I know, because we have a tendency to look like we have it all together, right? But let's be honest, we're all in our own way trying to figure out our walk.
Hmm.
And is that, when you see someone beginning to place judgment, that shows where they're at.
Absolutely. But you got to remember, us as a culture, we're crabs in a basket. We don't want anyone to be above us. So part of that within the church community is I'm holy. I am not going around nothing that would tarnish my reputation or my image.
Right.
But if they could just step out of what people,
This image,
this
right?
image that you're building up
Right.
only in your mind,
Right.
and extend your hand to help somebody else, people will look at you with a whole new sense of respect and admiration. Oh wow.
And it's this thing about being Christ-like, but would not Christ want us to reach out? Would not Christ
Ah.
would want us to extend love and grace and mercy and understanding? That is what I struggle with. Like, would not Christ want us to pass our expectation of people and just meet them where they are?
Absolutely. By this all men should know you my disciples because you have love one for another. And if we follow Jesus' example, when the woman that was taken in adultery, he didn't condemn her. He just said, go and sin no more. And if we could take that mantra, listen, go and sin no more. I know you're going to mess up, but even if you do, he still loves you.
And how many times will I expect forgiveness, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we expect people not to mess up.
And when we're messing up ourselves. So, and within the church, I truly believe now there's a generation that's coming along who has, and then I think a lot of it is too, the median age in the church is getting much older. So their life experiences versus this generation now is day and night. They went to the club, they went to the bar, they drank, they gambled. But we're talking what about a generation that smoke crack, do drugs, you know what I mean?
Right. Had that, yeah.
Sexually confused. I mean,
Yeah.
they're dealing with spirits that they didn't have to contend with. So, and I think some of it may be they don't know where to begin the process. They have nothing in common. They have no mutual ground. You know what I mean?
But, can we have to take some responsibility, would you not? I'd say that have we, because if we're here having this conversation about how the church needs to open up and reach out for people that are struggling, right? And we've got this younger generation who's watching this rigid way and not open.
No.
But also these are the same young people that live with you, right? Like
Ah,
they see
well,
how you
charity
are at
begins
home.
where?
At
Okay.
home.
And that might be that's part of it too. You're telling me one thing and you're doing another. And the first time I slip or stumble, you're done with me.
Yeah.
What if Christ himself took that attitude? I don't know about you, but I've been dead in my grave a
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I accept, I walk in grace every
Yeah.
day. How do you, as a pastor, how do you, and as a pastor with lived experience, how do you feel that your life is, and you carry, how do you feel like how do you carry your
My,
life today? How do you get what I'm saying? Like
yeah, I got what
how,
you because of my former life, it gave me a compassion for those who are struggling because I've been there. I wanted to come out and nobody stretched forth a hand. So I feel their pain. I understand their frustration. I get their disappointment. And then I also understand their, I want to say fertility.
ambivalence? Like, do you,
No, lack of hope. Lack of hope because I'm doing everything I can and there's nothing here to help me. There's no resources. There's nobody I can talk to. There's nowhere I could go because if you go to social service somewhere, come back when you got an appointment. See, this is what I've been struggling with and I'm still struggling with. Everywhere Christ says, come unto me, all you that have heavy laden. Come see,
and I'll
come.
give you rest.
But the church says, go to social services, go to rehab. I, it's a mixed message. When we learn to accept people where they are, I truly believe that the church will become the church that he intended for it to be. Because
Yeah.
sometimes church can be a social club. If you're not my
The elite
social,
status.
you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. But I love that because I always believed that before there ever, and I actually have been doing some research, the original social work was the church,
Hmm.
right? It was the place that you went when you
The
needed
backbone of the
the
black community
community.
was the church.
Yes.
Yes.
And the resources and the benevolent fund and all of
Hmm.
these things were there to help people where they were, right?
Hmm.
And to see that, and it wasn't going outside of that community. The church was the
The community,
community.
exactly.
And so whatever was needed, we were there. And I really believe that that's where, with this economy, not to go political, but with this economy and the way that things are being pushed and in this administration, I really do believe that the church needs to be able to rise up,
Stand up
and
again.
become that
Uh,
social service, that community backbone again.
Quit being the sleeping giant that we are, because we have something. We have God on our side,
Yes.
and He's unstoppable. The people had a mind to work. If we just get a mind to work, the works of Him that called us, we will not only be inclusive, but we will be looking for opportunities to help. Let me ask you a question. What good is it? I don't know about you, but I got a bad habit. I like to eat every day.
Yes.
So what
Yes.
good is it once a month you make a bag lunch and go feed the homeless and then you come back like you done something?
When they need to eat every
They
day.
need to eat every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Help me understand. I truly believe that when we as the body of Christ, the church, we take a more active role in the
Yeah.
community and in the community period, become more visible, be more accessible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Most church,
Yes.
I hate to say it, is very judgmental. Very judgmental. Because I wasn't into that. That's the worst thing in the world. But what's the difference of somebody using opioids or smoking crack than you going home turning the pill bottle?
Right. Right. But then okay, I'm getting
Say,
ready
but
to.
then, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. And that is a part of it because everybody wants to feel as though they're better than somebody else,
Yes.
but they're both
Yeah.
in the same situation. So if I can look down on you and point my finger at you, they're not going to look at me and my flaws and imperfections.
Right. That is so true. And I think my question is, how do we, because I do believe there's churches out there, right?
Oh,
I
there
do
are.
believe there's ones out there that are out there in the hedges and the highways, that are out there and being that beacon of light. And I do. I truly believe that. But how do we get more of us out there? What do you think that we need to do to get us out of our own comfort zone? Because I don't know, my grandma used to, by the grace of God, there go I.
Come
Like
on now.
I could easily fall in, and a lot of us, if we be honest, we 2, 3 paychecks away from being like anyone else
If
out there,
if you're
right?
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
And so what would you say to get people activated? What would you say? What do we need to do to get people activated and take that charge? How do we get them out of that seat of do nothing and recognize that, use that testimony, use those resources, take
That has to
some.
start at the pulpit. And the reason I'm saying that is 3/4 of the church, they won't do nothing unless pastors say, and then when they do it, they want pastor to know. If that makes sense to you.
It does. It
So
does.
if we as servant leaders start stressing the importance of sharing the gospel, of sharing our love, going out to the hedges and highways, being accessible, looking for opportunities to do good, then I think more would. Right now, the focus to me is sometimes we want people to live up to a standard that we can't keep.
Right. Yeah.
So once we become real with ourselves, look, I'm struggling. And what I found out is when I'm struggling, I go to another person that's hurting. Why? Because we both are seeking the same thing. But if I go to somebody who thinks they got it all together, they're not going to see me as a person. They're not going to listen to what I'm saying, how I feel. They're just going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But one size don't fit all.
That is true, and I always believe, even in my in my field, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I teach you how to fish,
Absolutely.
right? Can I help you and show you how to look at your situation and you solve the problem? I'm just here for the journey, and so what I hear you saying is that activation starts in the pulpit. And in the pulpit is where we can get people to,
Go outside the walls because right now we're so focused on what's going on inside the church, but the real work
is outside.
outside. I mean, the work starts when you leave. So if we could get the membership in the mindset of this is just a building where we assemble, but our real work in ministry is out there.
But and I'm gonna throw this, and
Go
I
ahead.
truly believe, because that's been me, and you talked about my zeal and my zest has been out there to, I wanted to be out there, I wanted to be where the people were, but I think we also as a community we're in survival mode. We're going to work, we're taking care of the kids, we're going to church, we're checking off all the boxes, and we've never allowed ourselves to move out of survival mode and just live life and literally trust the process. Because one thing I believe now, I'm a giver because I know that people have given to me, right? I am a believer that I will bless people because I'm blessed, right? And I'm not going to try to hold on to anything, because that is not going to do anything. That keeps my hands closed, and I can't
Receive,
receive,
but
nor can I give, right?
correct.
But I truly believe that sometimes we get so caught up in this American dream, and making sure that we can keep these things, that we look past the brother, the sister, right? That's hurting. I still, as often as I am at a light and there's an opportunity and somebody has a sign out, I'm going to give. because I don't know. I just don't know if that could easily be me.
There go
That could
I. There go
easily
I.
be someone that I know. And so I give, but I also am purposeful, not about not living, not surviving, but living.
Big
I'm
difference.
purposeful about keeping my heart open, keeping my intentions pure. Because one thing I do know is that I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't
For
for
others.
exactly.
Um,
And I don't know if that is I don't know. I don't know if that's holding some people back, that they're thinking that, because I remember being there. Like I've struggled, right? Like I didn't have enough, right? But I also had someone blessing me as I'm sitting over here counting my food stamps back in when it was the paper,
oh, you
right?
go, yes.
Yes. And not having enough and knowing that somebody behind me was like, here you go.
Yeah. What you're saying is it's kind of hard to do something that you've never seen before. If you grow up in a struggle, all you know is struggle, if that makes any sense
It
to you.
does. It
So the
does.
mentality has to change within the individual. A lot of people struggling with giving, not realizing that they're cutting off their nose despite their face.
They're cutting off that blessing.
Yes, give and it shall be given unto you. And a lot of people don't realize, like you and myself and these young ladies, we're blessed to be blessed, to be
Yes.
a blessing. And for conquerors that we are, the church lives in a constant fear. Why do I say constant fear?
Tell me more.
The fear that they have is the fear is to even mention Jesus to anybody or tell anybody, God bless you, have a good day. Young man, you can make it. I know it's rough right now, but you can make it. We are so afraid to talk to this generation because they're so disrespectful and they're so aggressive.
Yeah.
A kind word turns away wrath. So I think it starts within the church itself. The only way change is going to affect is if the mentality and the mindset of the church
Yeah.
changes.
So
And I said that starts in the pulpit.
it starts in the pulpit. So the charge starts there.
Hmm.
And what I hear you saying is that we, as a people, as a community, as a culture, need to go back, get back to being the heartbeat
The
of
heartbeat
the
and
community.
being community. And you're right, because this economic climate is the way it is. Everybody is struggling, and what little bit they got, they're holding on to. But you know what made us great as a people back in the day?
What made us great?
Community. I can remember when somebody had a baby, she would cook dinner, she would come over and clean, you would watch the kids. If there was anything, the whole neighborhood, the community came together as one. We
Right.
need to refoster that sense of community. But it's hard to have that type of sense of community when I'm so concerned about myself.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so what's our next steps? What's our next steps as a community? Because again, I truly believe something. I mean, it's already happening, right? Like we see that the resources are drying up. What we used to be able to have,
We don't have
we
anymore.
don't have. And I mean, people, that have been relying on Medicaid and all of these,
All these
resources, the
absolutely.
programs, they're limiting them. I mean, they're moving them to the state. It's a lot of changes that are happening.
Because
So
you said something very impactful a while ago that when you have this ill, we have people sitting right in the church who want to do something but have no direction. They want to do something, have no direction. If the pastor says do it, then they will get out in the community. But a lot of times they're so afraid to go out in the community without the pastor's blessing
right.
that if she sees me, guess. I seen Di over there. You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
But if the body knows, oh, she's going to be at such and such place and she's doing this. If you can't help her, you can't be there physically, please
Pray.
pray for her.
Yes.
That way when she comes back and she says, oh, God really moved, you know. I talked to a couple young people. They're on the verge. They're close. I think I got through to them. They haven't made the decision yet. And then she'll say, oh, I want to be a part of that.
I'm going to throw something out because I truly believe this, and that's learning how to be uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Learning how to be uncomfortable, because what I'm realizing is that being uncomfortable is not a bad thing. It's actually an opportunity for growth. I have found myself in situations in which I've been around people, and I mean, it wasn't necessarily ideal. It wasn't. I wouldn't have, been like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hang out with you."
Right.
But at the same time, I'm not gonna shy away from you either. And I was actually going in. I was at Food Lion getting water from the big old water thing out there, and it was a guy there, and he asked me for some money. I really did not have cash on me, and he kept asking different people coming out of the store, and when I got in the car, I realized I did have some. I looked around, and I went back, and I gave him money. But there was a part of me that was pretty uncomfortable because my car door was unlocked. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I just kept saying, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay. I knew I was not feeling comfortable, but I had to remember I was okay. It was different. It was something that I wasn't necessarily used to. It wouldn't have been somebody that I would have been around, but I allowed myself to be uncomfortable because I didn't think it was right for me to walk away because I was uncomfortable. You get what I'm
I
saying?
got exactly what
I
you're
just
saying.
I think that what we shy away from being uncomfortable. And not to me was that man, you know what he actually asked? He was like, "Do you need help?" He saw me over there picking up these 5-gallon, things of
Mm-hmm.
water. He was like, "Ma'am, do you need help?" And I was like, "No, no, thank you." But he asked, and no one else was asking.
You know, that is the problem with the church. We become too comfortable sitting in the pews. Comfortability breeds complacency.
Yes,
And it's a great thing to be uncomfortable because uncomfortability brings about change
yes,
and also it brings about growth. See, we as a people, we like being in a comfortable zone, but we are not to be comfortable where we are because we're just strangers, pilgrims passing through.
passing through.
So
Yes,
if we learn to come, what he says, how long will you sit in your sealed houses in my house? In your sealed houses and my house lay in ruins. We're so happy to come into a big, beautiful church. We're so happy and comfortable that we don't want to go outside it and do the real work.
the uncomfortable
Hmm.
work.
See, my philosophy is come as you are, but you won't stay as you are. Because he gave me the mandate, you catch them, I'll clean them.
I love that. I
So
love
when
it.
they come, I know when I first got saved and started going to church recently out of jail, only thing I had was clothes that I did what I did in. And they didn't look at me no type of way. Some of the older brothers gave me some suits, gave my wife dresses and things to wear. It wasn't none of that flapping. Oh, you know what I mean?
It was love.
It was love. So if we can, the church, let's get me some of them old saints. Oh, she know that's well. If it's so tight, if it bothers you that much, go home, open up one of them closets because I know you got 3 or 4 full of clothes you don't wear,
Yeah.
and give them something to wear. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes.
Instead of
Yeah.
we need to become more doers of the word, not so much
Yes.
as hearers.
I love it. I love it. And thank you again. I really do. But before we leave, I always challenge people because I want to hear, again, my whole desire, this whole podcast is really based off of destigmatizing. How do we take these words, these words that we dehumanize individuals with these words, whether we're calling them crack addicts or we're calling them fiends, or the list goes on and on. Matter of fact, can I put even in a sinner, right? Like, I mean, it's a lot of things that we do to take away an individual's humanity. What are your thoughts and feelings about that? What can we do?
I lived it firsthand. I know exactly what you're saying because when I first got released, because of the felonies on my background, the only job I could get was McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, that's a felon, right? Like,
It is what it, and one of the things we can help do with that was people coming out, y'all know who y'all got back there? But, and that really hurt because I really was trying to make a change, but when people keep throwing up your past to you, you know what I mean? But I was fortunate because a ministry, white church, had a program where you could get your record expunged and a
Yes.
pardon. That is something that I think a lot more ministries ought to be able to get involved in. I don't know how to go about it, but that is something that if we could help them to clean up their past and maybe even encourage them and give them some hope to let them know where you are today isn't your final destination.
Yes, yes,
I mean, because
yes,
if you look at your tombstone, you have a born date and a death date,
yes,
and in between is the dash. So what we need to do is help them focus on what's going on in the dash.
yes. Because that's not that long.
No,
Right?
no.
It's just a short time between one and the other. I love it. I mean, I think, for me, and I will never, I've used my lived experience, right? Whether in people that I'm connect to any given day, I'm using that as my way of bridging,
Right.
right? Of just being able to say you're not alone. Because a lot of people want to see you and say, "Oh, you've got the degrees, or you're a pastor now, or you're doing this," and that as though you haven't had this lived experience. But I don't forget.
Right. And when I share my testimony, when I'm led to different ones, they look at me like, "You?" Yes. So that lets you to know that there is hope. If I can do it, if God can do it through me, He can do it for you too.
Yes.
Don't give
yes.
up hope. But what we need to do is within the church to become much more inclusive is to be much more welcoming and inviting. We got to get away with the social club mentality of the church.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe adopt more of the social services again, right? Let's
Absolutely.
look at how do we fill the gaps? How do we become gap fillers? How do we fill these gaps? Earlier, you were talking about the disparities, right? That we've got, between Sussex and Kent County. We've got people that's out there and that can't get to service, can't get to services, can't get to the resources that they need. People coming out of incarceration or coming out of rehab that need to get these support systems in place, but yet we're still.
One of the things that what we're doing is we are informing the membership of the various resources that's available: food, housing, clothing, rehab, and even some programs for job training. One of the things we always put out there, this is the programs that are available. Why do we tell them every Sunday? Because they might meet somebody that may need one of those services.
Oh, that's wonderful. That would be wonderful.
So that's pretty much where I don't know how to say what we as collectively as the body can do to make it more inclusive, except love.
It comes back
It
to
starts
that.
with love.
Yeah. And I think if we learn to love ourselves through learn to forgive ourselves, then we can learn to love ourselves and recognize that we're not failures because of our past. Matter of fact, we're overcomers,
That
right?
My past made me who I am today.
My past, yes, made me stronger.
Yes. The scripture true, all things work together for the good.
Oh, I'm there.
All things work together for the
Yes.
good. The bad, the ugly, the painful, it
Yes.
all comes into making you into the creature that God created you to be.
Yes. Yes. I'm
So,
I'm there. I tell people
and
all the time.
and I tell people, I constantly use even your past before you knew Christ. God allowed you to go through it because He's going to use that experience to help somebody else come out of what you was in.
Yeah.
And you can't talk to an addict unless you was an addict. You know what they say, one fiend knows another fiend.
I get it, but you know what? You know what, Pastor? We're getting ready to have it here because one of the things
See, 'cause I know the fiendish moves. You know what I mean? I know
yes.
the slimy, grimy moves.
But
So
what if they needed everyone? Because I still remember being in my master's program, and I was on New Street at it was, I can't remember the facility, but I remember, and it was a gentleman who said that we were doing a group, and he says, how can you tell me how to go? Well, he said, how can you tell me if you haven't been where I've been? And, and I get it. I really do. But I'm also a family member of
eh,
who had somebody of this lived experience who I went there. And no, I might not be able to tell you, you know, from your experience, but I can tell you from a loved one
mhm.
experience. And I can also tell you because I'm standing over on this other side saying, come on, right? I'm here. I don't always have to understand. I get where you're saying, but I just come from because all God can use a willing vessel. All
That's
He
it.
needs is a willing vessel, right?
He give you what to say the self same hour. So, and another thing we could do is the church to come out to be more inclusive is when we know that we all know somebody who a family member is struggling with whatever.
Right.
If we would just reach out to that family member because they're going through
Yeah.
just as well, and we embrace them and show them love, they're apt to draw that individual. Come on, man. Come
Yeah.
to church with me. They're good people. They're good people. Oh, they ain't gonna judge you. They ain't like that. Come on, man. They really want to help. Uh,
Exactly. Exactly. Because we all were there, right?
yeah.
Like I can still remember my aunt. She would call Sunday after Sunday until I finally said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. I love it. So the charge is that it starts in the pulpit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Starts in the pulpit.
And it also starts with
It
love.
starts in the pulpit. Starts with love. Then the pulpit, and you have a lot of members who really want to do something other than just sit there.
Give them some work to do.
Hey, give them some work. You see a need.
Yeah.
Despise not small beginnings. You might only have 2 or 3 people, but when the Lord begins to bless, it'll expand.
Right. And again, I think this is the time. We've got and again, I can't stress this enough, but we have an administration in
Oh,
here, and these services are being cut, and we need to rise up and position ourselves
together as one.
together as one and begin to feed, clothe, heal,
Hmm.
support. However, let's go back to being the community, the backbone of the community so that we can be able to help these individuals of all walks of life, right?
Well, actually, we're all walking together because there used to be an upper middle class,
Oh,
a
yeah.
middle class, and a lower middle class, and the poor. We're all now lower middle class, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that division. You know what I mean, amongst the have and have nots. Because if we don't get together as one, we'll all have nothing.
That is true. That is true.
So,
But thank
yep.
you. Thank you for coming. I enjoyed this, and hopefully we can get together soon. I've always wanted to, I think I was talking to you, I always wanted to do something with like the state of the Black church when it came to mental health, because I think that's a whole
Oh, that's a
nother.
whole nother ball of wax.
Exactly. And that I want to get that dialogue going because I believe we need to make sure that the correct information is being
Given.
given across that pulpit. And
Absolutely.
I do believe, listen, I come from the Church of God in Christ, so I believe in
Go
tarrying.
ahead. Go ahead, Coach. All right.
But I also believe in that we got to recognize mental health for what it is. Like there are people that literally are sitting in our churches with some level of mental
But
health that
that goes right back to the same stigma as drug abuse.
it is. It does. It
Because
does.
forever the church taught, oh, you pray, 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 and it'll go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, that does,
Schizophrenia. I mean, I
yeah.
believe in the power of God. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of healing. But I also know that when schizophrenia
Hmm.
is schizophrenia, right? Like we've got to get that communication going
Hmm.
so that we can come together and help these people in the community.
Yes.
But thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much. I
you.
appreciate you having me. And I truly believe through prayer
Yeah.
and mutual support amongst the churches, we can combat this
Yes, we can.
as a
Yes.
people.
Yes.
As a people. For too long, we've been looking outside for help when everything we need is right within our community if we would just open up.
But I think the season is now. I really do. I think this is a setup.
With the man of Senate,
Yeah, I
let me leave it
think
alone.
I think it's a setup, and I think that we can succeed if we recognize and hearken to what we're hearing and what we're seeing, and just kind of come together.
Come together, yes.
All right.
And again,
Thank you.
thank you so much for the opportunity, the platform. Hopefully, we said some things that will affect the change within the church
Yes.
community because that is what I've been hoping and praying for, that we get more involved and invested in people than the building.
And I will tell you this, DSAM, but Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health, they have grants. They're constantly reaching out. They're wanting people from that's out in the community to do these things.
Hey y'all, it's Teray again. Now you've heard the conversation. Now we want to hear from you. Take a moment to click the link in the description to our post survey so you can share what stood out to you, what challenged you, and what inspired you. Always remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember that one conversation can spark a new beginning. Bye.